Hi everybody, my name is Victor Gunn. I'm a Combine Product Specialist for Western Canada. Today we're going to talk to you about some 250 series features and benefits, some of the new stuff coming for 2021. With that, we'll get started. I got a little bit of a slideshow here for you. Harvest more of what you grow. Basically, that's one of our mottos. We want to put more grain in the tank, more money in the bank for you as a customer. Quick slide showing the sensors with our automation system. So basically we've got 16 sensors throughout the combine. A lot of those sensors did come on previous model combines. Some of the new stuff, we've got things like the sieve pressure sensors that you see over here on the left hand side of the slide. Right? Grain cam, that's new for the automation system. Like I said, there's a few new ones, but the majority of them came on previous model combines. Feeder drives and lift improvements. So we now have 3 cylinder offerings. We have a light duty, a medium duty, and a heavy duty offering in our packages. The light duty with a 10,000 pound lift, good for those 30 or 35 foot heads at max, so the draper heads. The medium duty, 11,500, that'll get you up into the 40 and maybe the 45 foot draper. In excess of a 45 foot draper, you're going to want to go 13,500 pound lift and the heavy duty package. Also, 16 or 18 row folding corn heads, you're going to want that heavy duty lift package. Quick picture of the mounting hardware. So you can see in the bottom picture, we changed the lift bracket mounting locations for the cylinders, right? The cylinder style also changed. You'll notice that they're a double acting cylinder, so you're going to see 2 lines going to the cylinder. Keep in mind, the second line is still dead. It's just a return to sump. We don't physically put hydraulic down pressure on the feeder house. It's still acting as a single acting cylinder. Feeder drive. So we have 2 gearbox offerings down at the bottom of that feeder house now. Again, if you're into those 16 and 18 row folding, chopping corn heads, you're going to want that heavy duty gearbox. All right, good idea to have that heavy duty one. You'll know it's the heavy duty style as the gearbox is physically black. Dual lateral tilt cylinders. So at the front of the faceplate, we can get dual factory fit lateral tilt cylinders. So if you're into those big draper heads, 40 foot drapers, 45 foot draper heads, to help take some of that sponginess out of the lateral tilt, it's a good idea to have the dual lateral tilt cylinders in there. You'll get a lot crisper action with that lateral tilt. Front pivot changes, right? So with the big heavy heads, and as we're proceeding, we'll see bigger draper heads coming down the pipe. That pivot needs to be beefed up. So from the 3-bolt style, over here on the one side, we've gone to a heavier pivot, and you know you've got at least 11,500 pound lift based on just looking at the pivot style. So 11,500 pound lift, 13,500 pound lift has the heavy duty style pivot. With that, we've also bumped up the hardware size on the feeder floor, right? So we put bigger bolts in there. We went from a 3-piece floor to a 2-piece floor. And anytime you get rid of a seam where material passes by, you reduce a wear point. So we want a heavier duty floor. It's a little bit more wear resistant and heavier hardware. Floor geometry changes. So we've made a few changes in the feeder floor as well. That floor is now 20 millimeters lower in the feeder house than it was in previous model combines. Quick graphic showing what the feeder floors have looked like throughout the years. Back in 2009, we started with a lower position. So the blue graphic, you can see, we actually experimented with dropping that floor wide open, all right? We found that we didn't get as good a feeding as we'd like to see, so we actually had a program where we went around and we lifted the feeder floors up significantly. So up until 2018 or 2019, so the 2018 and previous floors were in that position. We are now in between the two. So like I said, the 250 series floor is 20 millimeters lower than it was on previous model combines. Give us a little more capacity in that feeder house, a little room for those bigger materials. Big change in the top left corner. So the gearbox that drives the rock trap beater as well as the feeder chain, big changes in that area there. So on the previous model combines, and we'll show you in a little bit later video what the splines look like, we went from this style of gearbox to a bolted in spline coupler. So there's now a spline coupler that bolts into that top sprocket, and there's also a different spline that's on the gearbox side, also bolted on. So those two pieces are changeable, independent of the gearbox shaft and the top sprocket. And if they do happen to wear, you don't have to change the top sprocket anymore. You can change those pieces independently. The other thing we did, so in the old sprocket, there was a pin style slip clutch in there. So we got rid of that slip clutch. It's now located inside the gearbox. It's a fiber disc clutch inside the gearbox. We should get more longevity, more life out of that fiber disc clutch than the pin style clutch. We all know what that's like. They slip a few times and then they start to slip easier and easier. Feeder faceplate fore and aft. We'll talk about this one on the combine as well. Basically, you get in-cab adjustment, and the point of that is to match the head type on the combine to the front drum. So if you have a pickup head, for example, you're going to want to tip the top of that faceplate all the way forward. A draper head, we set it in the middle, and a corn head, we tip it all the way back. So if you're swapping back and forth between a draper and a pickup, it's a really nice feature because it gives you quick adjustment of that faceplate so that you get optimal feeding in your combine. If you don't take the hydraulic adjust, you still get some big bolts and manual adjustment, so it's still there. The other thing that comes with the new faceplate is you actually get about 1.5 degrees more adjustment than we had in the past. Feeder chains, right? So we upgraded the feeder chains. We've got a heavier feeder chain. So the inner side links are heavier, the pins are heavier in the chain, so basically a more durable chain all around. The pitch is still the same as it was in the past. We've just upgraded some of the components in the chain. So like I said, inner side links are heavier, pins are heavier, and you're getting a more durable chain. Transmission, probably my favorite option that we added to this combine. So we went from a 4-speed transmission to a 2-speed transmission. So you'll notice your shift knob is now a 2-speed, still stop to shift between first and second, but you have a shift on the fly, high and low in each gear. What does that mean for you as an operator? So in first gear and high range, for example, we can get 11.2 miles an hour. So if you're shuttling across the field to fill the truck, you're switching fields, you wind up in the far corner when you finish a field, you can get across that field a lot quicker without actually having to stop and shift. The other thing you get with this transmission and hydro combo is a lot torqueier hydro. So for example, we'll pull out onto the road in second gear and low. You pull out, you'll get up to speed, you'll hit your high button, and off to 25 miles an hour you go. You won't be pulling out in third gear, stopping in the middle of the road, you're holding up traffic, shifting to fourth, and then continue on from there. It's all shift on the fly in the highs and between high and low. Diff Lock. So we changed the diff lock. We now have electric actuated diff lock. So instead of the big lever on the left, where you used to have to just about stand on in some cases, we now have a little electric button on the floor. So a lot easier operation to engage that diff lock. Lighting package, so we went from HID lights to LED lights. A bit of a graphic showing the difference between an HID and the LED package. Long story short, significant difference in the lighting package. Those LED lights really light up the world in front of the combine. Adjustable cage vanes. So long time coming. With 2019 combines, we've got adjustable cage vanes inside the combine. What does that mean for you? Well, basically you get a lot more performance out of your threshing system. So we have the ability to run it via automation. So our automation system is adjusting those vanes, or you can adjust them manually on your own. If we can keep that material in a little bit longer, they make a big difference in things like white caps. Maybe in that dry canola where we got to get that product out a little quicker, we speed those veins up and we move that product through a lot quicker. So huge benefits there. We've seen some amazing things just from adjusting those cage veins. So you can see that's a picture of the inside of the veins. The front two veins are still manually adjustable, but we made your life easier. We put panels up in the grain tank to allow you to adjust those veins if you need to. The rear 6 are all adjusted in cab with an electric actuator. So picture of the inside of the veins. So basically they're a 2-piece vein. You can see they pivot based on the center position, and then they just kind of pivot back and forth on that center position. The actuator, so that's sitting on top of the rotor cage. Again, electric actuator, and you'll see there's a bit of a graphic there showing the position of the vein. So very slow, slow, medium, and fast. All right, so some of the new things coming on 2021, we made a few little changes. Basically, a lot of them are in the software, right? So we allowed you to add the work condition in automation. So basically you get auto default, high moisture corn. If you want to set it as a high moisture, easy threshing, however you want to call it, you can set a work condition in there. We added a run screen shortcut. So if you're in there setting up your automation, we can hit that run screen button and it automatically takes you right back to the automation. Saves you 1 or 2 button pushes. Sieve loading. So with our automation system, we have sieve pressure sensors. This is something different than anybody else is doing, right? Nobody else has got sieve load indicators. So we've added bar graphs on the main run screen where you can physically watch your sieve loading. So if we're down in the yellow on the bottom side, that means our sieves are underloaded. If we're green and located somewhere in the middle, we're optimally loaded. Overloaded when we start to get to top. So a good indicator of what's happening on that cleaning chute. In the past combines, the automation system was watching the sieve pressure sensors. Now we can physically view what's happening to them as an operator. Factory fit camera options. So something we haven't offered in the past. So gives you the ability to order your combine with factory fit cameras, right? So 3 different options. Top code is no cameras. Option 2, you get a rear view camera only. Option 3, we get rear view and unload tube camera. So some nice options there. Get that combine set up as much as possible right from the factory. All right, let's talk about information. So YouTube is becoming more and more popular, and there's going to be a lot of videos coming down the pipe, training videos, marketing videos, online brochures, that sort of thing. So CaseIH has their own YouTube channel, so don't be scared to subscribe. So just a quick instruction on how it works. So when you go to YouTube and in the search bar, you type in CaseIH North America, it will take you to this page right here. So this is the CaseIH North America YouTube page. Within our YouTube page, we have our own search function down here. So down there, it pops over, and if we type in 250 series, all the videos that are available for a 250 series combine will populate in there. So like I said, there's training videos in there. If you want a video on the different buttons and what they do, that'll be located in here. If you want a quick video on how to set up your automation and your feed rate control, that video will be located in there. So good idea to subscribe to that channel. You'll get notifications when a new video happens to pop up in the new list. With that, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you all for tuning in.